here messing with this oil pump today. It's not as nice out as it was yesterday. About 15, 20 degrees colder. Just going over it, scraping the gasket off of here, and checking the feed gears out. Pump body looks great. I know it's really hard to see. It's still a little dirty, but sure ain't got much damage in there. Hardly anywhere either. Gasket's scraped off. Everything's dry on here. Just gonna take my stone here and run it across the face. It feels like I still got some gasket, or this pump's a little high. Now, when you're taking the gasket off, you're just going to scrape it with, I just use a razor blade to do it. If you see somebody using one of them Scotch-Brite pads on stuff like this, you don't want them working on your stuff. They'll screw up the pump body and it'll be just as uneven as could be. I've had more stuff ruined from supposedly trained mechanics, even when I was in the shop and you tell them not to do it. And instead of taking time to get a gasket off properly, they'll sit there and use a damn Scotch-Brite pad. The thing will be 0.006 off, or even more. I've had them 0.010 before. That's a lot of space. You can't make that gasket. Can't make that shit up. Of course, that's when those guys resort to using sealer. Like I said before, you really don't need any sealer on this. If you do, just if you feel more comfortable with it, just use something thin like a gasket shellac. This cover looks like it's, you can tell a little bit anyway. It's a little high spot right there. So when you're doing this, you just kind of want to do it and move your stone around so you're not going back and forth or side to side. And you're going to do the body of the pump too, cover and the body. Another thing too, when you're putting this thing back together, follow the torque specs. I haven't looked them up yet, but basically I'm going to put the gasket on here and just hand tighten it, just to hold it in place, and I'll torque it once I get it back on there. So you don't want to over torque these things because these covers will warp pretty easy. This is it's not really thin, but they'll still warp. You got guys in there putting 50 pounds of torque on them, and that's a sure sign you'll either crack it or leak it, or it'll leak. Still got some high spots on there. Seems to be right in this corner over here is where it's catching. I can see right there around that bolt hole right there. It's got a spot. If you run your finger across it, you can kind of feel it right there. Like something went through the gears there. Put a little gouge in it. Very slight one. We're going to try and get that out as best we can. Another way to do this, and I don't have one anymore. I used to have a granite surface plate. Was to take a surface plate, which I know is ground within 1/10,000th of an inch, and lay a piece of sandpaper on it, like really fine, like 1200 grit sandpaper, and then just grab whatever you're doing, pump body or whatever, and just work it back and forth in a circle 8 pattern. You can really do it with a pane of glass too, but I don't have a pane of glass, so I'm doing it the old way like this. And you're just hand fitting up this pump here. Give it a turn every once in a while so you're not going all in the same direction there. And then give it an overall look. See how you're going there. You see there's a kind of sort of, I can see, you might not in the camera, but there's high spots like right here and right around these bolt holes, like there. You can tell it's raised up a little section around the bolt holes. So you're going to want to do that just a little bit more. Or you could just go buy a new pump. I'm not buying a new pump. This pump's in good condition. We like to reuse stuff because newer stuff, truth is, it ain't built near as good or even at as good a metal. You think metallurgy has come a long way over 70 years? It hadn't really. If anything, it's gotten worse. They'll tell you that the metals are actually better, but the proof's in the pudding. I welded transmission cases on a motorcycle one time from 1936, and nobody wanted to touch them because they were afraid to do them. And it was just a hole in the case there. Wasn't even a crack, just a hole where something went through there. And the guy brought it in and he just wanted it welded up. Cleaned it. You got to really clean aluminum before you weld it. Cleaned the hell out of it. Washed it, cleaned it, hot washed it, and the hot pressure washer. The pressure washer cabinet, not a handheld unit. And the thing welded like butter, man. Hit that TIG torch on it and it was just as pretty as could be. And I don't know why nobody would do it. Maybe because it was so old they just thought that it would be crap. Newer stuff doesn't weld like that. And I'm just running my mouth here. You guys don't need to know that stuff. Anyway, you get the point. That should be good right there. Better than it was anyway, and I don't have any giant gouges in there really. Got a little over there where it looked like something might have gone through there at one time. Piece of manufacturing swarf, or a little bit of a piece of metal went through there. A lot of times when something will be brand new and they'll take it apart and find a little piece of shaving, like for machining in there, and they'll start digging apart stuff to look to see what's screwed up. Well, you know what? If it's pretty much brand new, a lot of times when they clean stuff out, they don't get all the chips out, and you'll have one little chip stuck in the passage somewhere that just didn't come out. All right. And it'll dislodge after it goes through some heat cycles. Let's do this pump body here, the main body. Give it a little turn. That thing's pretty flat right there. I got the oil pan soaking over there now, the strainer, and that thing had sealer around it where somebody had pulled the oil pan off, put it back on, and used sealer, and there was some strings of sealer stuck down in the sludge, and definitely there was some in sump screen. So we're gonna dig all that stuff out of the pan there. I still got paint left over. I'll end up painting the valve cover and the little pan to match the cylinder head. Won't match anything else, but it'll match that stuff. Looks nicer anyway. Alright, that's pretty much it. Like I said, you're going to want to check that piston out again. Goes in there good. You got no sludge on it. That thing's good. Alright, I think it's coffee time for me. Coffee and a little snack. It's cold, but it's not really that cold. The sun feels good out here, I'll put it that way. Alright, appreciate it, guys. Like I said, I'm going to clean this stuff up really good, and we'll probably go over there this week and start bolting the oil pump back on and priming it and putting the pan on. And seal plate on the back of the cases there. That seal plate's probably harder than this stuff because it's got gaskets on it, and it's a tight fit up in there. And you got to seal it, get it lined up just right. And it's hard to get to the two of the bolts on the back side that go through the back of the case there. It's like almost right up against the flywheel, but we'll get them in there. Anyway, if you like my content, like, share, subscribe, all that jazz. If you have any questions, shoot me a line. Help you out any way I can. Appreciate it.